Good afternoon, molweni babukele makhaya. Welcome to the talk show. Igama nguDimpho isinimnga kwaBulani. Namhlanje itopic yethu sithetha about women in journalism. Sineguest yethu sithanda kakhulu Mrs. LERATO FEKISI. She will introduce herself shortly. Kindly be encouraged to share, like, and comment on the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. We'd just like to say welcome to the talk show. And please do kindly introduce yourselves to the viewers at home.
Hi everyone, my name is LERATO FEKISI. I am a mother of two beautiful girls and I work as a journalist at the SABC, like you said, and it's so lovely to be here.
Wow, welcome. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. As Teta is a woman in journalism, can you tell us
When you speak about women in journalism, I think the first thing that comes to mind is the dynamic Crisalda Lewis. I think she's done really, really well. And in showing the bravery, the courage that it takes to be a journalist, in showing also the soft side that comes with journalism, because you're dealing with human beings whose story that you must tell. So when you say journalism, for me, I think of Abantu Bafana Crisalda Lewis, who have really set the bar very high and showed us the two sides of journalism.
Wow, that is great. Tell us about your background, your family, where did you grow up? We'd just like to know you more.
Okay, so I grew up in East London. That's where I spent a huge part of my life, especially my primary school. My parents were quite busy, one in academics, one in politics. So I hostel dinner at 7, very, very young. Share hostel up until grade 7. Then collegiate high school, where I spent my high school. But I had a very colorful childhood. Mama created a very a cozy, homely environment for us, full of love. Full of understanding the importance of hard work ethic, excellence in all that you do. But I think I saw from her, the importance of working hard, but how she was a hard worker. Wow. That hard work is something that must become a normal occurrence in your life for you to make it. So a very colorful, allowed us to be kids, would play cricket outside, would swim. She allowed us to take part in extramural activities at school, and she was very much involved where she could, upbringing it.
Wow. Do you think that has impacted you and played a huge role into the woman that you are and still becoming?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think it's always nice to grow up with a mom who's hardworking, because I got I'm working hard for you guys, but you can see her commitment to her work, and then also watching her rise, because she was in politics, and then watching her rise in the political realm, because obviously politics are new because you bribe someone, and she was all about also having ethics in politics, because there's something that's very much compromised. But she was someone who served with integrity and hard work and excellence and consistency and perseverance. And watching someone like that, is a good example. Definitely has contributed to who I am and the type of principles that I apply to my life now.
Wow, that is great. Now, Mrs. LERATO FEKISI, when you decided to journey on the journey of being a journalist, can you tell us, have you ever, was it always your dream you will pursue this career field?
Yes, not at all. Actually, I think I was out of varsity. Okay, before I went after varsity, yeah. So the fresh face then was Wonang. She was the first black representation of women in media. Bonang Mateba, yeah. And why he presented her live. So obviously, Kulem was toppling, and toppling always had white faces. So here comes this black girl, and obviously when you see someone you like, it becomes possible now to reach that, because now. So she came as this new black, vibrant, very talented presenter. And then showed us another side, but you know what, there's actually presenting, and besides your TV, black girls can do it. So seeing her, I was like, you and then so I present one day. So I honestly didn't journalism. I even started because I'm different school in MCC, which is media communications and culture. It has got very little journalism. So I always wanted to be in front of the screen and to be a presenter. But
like, this is your show, you have it.
It's because I love television so much. Like, if you give me a mic and television, I'm happy.
You're happy. Yeah. Okay, wow. Now tell us about your first job, because I came across a very interesting story. Kindly do follow her on Facebook. Her name is LERATO FEKISI on Facebook and other social platforms. You were sharing a very motivating story, Payana. Uteta, you came across your name badge, or your msebenzi wakho usengumntana esikolo. Tell us about that. What was happening in your life at that stage? And yeah, if you can just tell us and dwell on that. Kokusenzeka ntoni?
Okay, so I just came out of varsity, and obviously, most of my varsity so you think to yourself, okay, I've got this qualification. I know that there is a talent somewhere at TV that could work, and then I'm gonna go to Joburg, and then Zubang Bonang, and or I'll be on top billing, and I'll be big and famous. And this one, it was not gonna be like that for a very long time. So my parents, like I said, Omnia was in politics, Omnia was in academics, and naturally they would be like, okay, Lerato, get a job, because my brother had a job, my sister had a job, and I was like the last one in Kaya. So obviously I would have to follow in that line as well. But I was like, guys, man, from my city sign, and I kept on saying that, and they'd be like, okay, if from city then go to Joburg, but also you can't just go to Joburg and hope and pray you get into TV. Like there must be a plan. Very structured people and very orderly, and so I just couldn't get a job. And then eventually I was like, okay, because I don't want to get into corporate because they push me in the line, so that at least I can take care of myself while I volunteer at local radio and TV stations. So that badge was the first restaurant I waitressed it. So during the day I would do a show for about 2 hours at BFM, and then at night I would rush, quickly change a bathroom into my badge, jeans, white shirt, and then put on the badge, and then also make sure my apron is clean, and then I'd waitress up soup. I did that for a good solid 8 years, because again, SABC people don't know, but most people get into SABC when I'm doing like Crystal 21, but I got in there 28 because God prepared me for 7 years volunteering, and then also, like you're saying, waitressing. But I always say, like I was saying, post about the things that I learned as a waitress are the things that I apply now, because as a waitress your table had to be clean, your napkins had to be folded in ethile. So God would literally say to me, if I was working a morning shift, be the first person to arrive. When you serve people with a smile, whether you're upset or sad, excellence in the smiling, excellence in how you put ifoloke kanje, imdaka, go and clean it, shinise. When you clean a bathroom, clean it as if you're cleaning your own bathroom. And it sounds like small things now, but when I look back later now, the excellence that I give in my work now are because I mastered excellence in the small things like cleaning a fork and making sure that uniform yami clean.
Wow.
Yeah, so I learned so many beautiful principles in the waitress and earning close to nothing that I can apply now in Duke National Broadcaster.
Wow, so in other words, Oti, you go through certain things to shape you.
Definitely.
It's not that you go through with them that is positive. You go through them for positive influence. That is profound. Now, I would just like us now to dwell a bit more Windaba you volunteer as a person when you want to pursue a certain career or field, not necessarily in journalism, but in general as well. Kubaluleke kanjani lando yokufaka ixesha lakho into volunteering? Iye ibenze ntoni lando kumntu?
I think what people don't understand is that when you get to the top, whether it's CNN, SABC, NCA, you're at a platform where you can't make a mistake. Because at SABC, a mistake could get you fired. A mistake could, for instance, I'll give you an example. The president was speaking, I think, 2 years ago.
Yes.
And then the cameraman, President Ingekavali, watched the camera get mistake. That guy is not more SABC. Just by literally switching off the camera before his speech was done, but the president was live about Domela Babayeni, all the languages. He has like understand exit yake. And before he did that, camera before time. So when you get to certain platforms, you can't make a mistake and you've got to be excellent. But that excellence, you can only master it when you volunteer yourself in local volunteer space, because with our volunteering space you are taught about this is how you do admin, this is how you hold a mic, this is how you clean a floor, this is how you type a document, this is how you submit certain things that at the top they expect you to know, because SAB is not going to be there to hold your hand. They will as an intern, but eventually they're like, you got to show me the other shocks now. So at least when you volunteer, you are learning from abantu that are in the field on how to get the basics right first before you even think of taking over the world, how to get the basics right. And you're getting skills that will cost you because of batali, but it's skills that you wouldn't get anywhere else.
Okay.
So by the time you do get into Aspen, into Vodacom, into MTN, because you're volunteered at the small places, there's certain skills that you have that give you an added advantage than anyone else. So it's learning of skills, it's grooming of character.
Wow.
It's importance of instilling principles like time management, character management, financial management as well. Things that you really cannot afford not to know when you get to the big corporations.
Wow, that is profound. Uthi nipakumdu ekaya oti. Now I feel like maybe it's time wasting for me to ukuba ndiyo volunteer. I do not see ukuba the reason behind, because mhlawumbe ndine qualification ethile. I-mindset enjalo normally iye imsephu umntu.
Unfortunately, Pongxele, we live in a time now where even the economy is not allowing us perhaps to work for corporations we want to work for.
Yeah.
For instance, I've got a cousin of mine on a BA in public admin. He graduated last year. And clicks as our band and someone would be like, why didn't you go? And he's been applying, so like applying, but our economy now is pushing us into a space where you're going to have to start small anyway, because now a degree is not enough anymore now, like it used to be before. So abantu have to get that mindset in, but I'm not going to get a degree and then go work for Volkswagen or Mercedes-Benz. I'm going to have to start very small, maybe just start by just Mercedes-Benz before I start building the car or building the car itself.
Wow,
so I would say just get rid first of that mindset, that like that overnight success, like that popcorn, I put popcorn in a comeback and it's huge popcorn, because that doesn't happen, so get into life knowing that I'm going to have to start small, but in your small, you've got to do the small very well. So that's what people must get right, that like you saying I can't sweep it because like you've got to get the sweeping right first, because God's not going to just like take you to Mfundisi when you can't put a chair straight.
Wow.
Because he's going to entrust you with people's lives. And the same way you were just putting a chair nanjanina, the same way you're just like you're going to do the same thing with ministry.
Yeah.
You're going to do the same thing when you are having your own TV network.
Wow.
So in the small, whether it is a typewriter, whether it is a street sweeper, do it excellently. Submit excellently to whoever is your boss. Boss, you may not like him. You may think that you are more powerful than your pastor, but that's the person God has put for you to submit to. If he says your job right now is just to fix these two chairs excellently every single time. And when God sees the posture of your heart and the excellence that you've put in, just putting these two chairs right, other doors are going to open. But you've got to be consistent in the small, consistent. If you have to be at work by 7, quarter to 7, you are at the door. You're not walking in, because what you're doing, if the pastor says, I want the cameras up by 2, you're not sitting up at 2. The cameras are up standing by 2. Because what you're doing here, when ENCA employs you, when CNN employs you, you're going to do the same thing, and then you can get fired. And then now you are in this public broadcaster, you're this well-known producer, and then your life is literally becomes a joke. But you're talented, but you're gifted, I agree. But you were not able to master excellence in the small things.
Wow.
Now you're famous and you're well known. Now ulihlazo even bigger than you would have. I picked our way. When Mfundisi can say, you know what, next time fika ngotu. Now the papers are saying you're not keeping time. The tabloids are speaking about you. You see now what you didn't master here. You're publicly now. So rather face the scrutiny here.
Yeah.
Rather face the unechiki yazman khailungisa ndiyavuma uyasha but khalungisa isimilo sakho, rather take it here and master it here, so that when you get to the top, because it's a matter of time, you are going to get to the top.
Wow.
But you've got to master the character, the perseverance, the excellence, the consistency in the small. And above all, a shift in your mind that says, I will volunteer as long as I have to until a perfect door opens, because it's going to open. But it's waiting to see about itini posture ka DIMPHO, itini excellence yakho qala before doors open. Because you're at the top, if you see Oprah Winfrey, all the big people, those people are excellent. If you look at your work ethic yabo, when they're famous and they're gifted, but if you have to go back and look at, Beyonce practices 7 hours or 14 hours for one show.
Wow.
So you can't tell me that she didn't practice that somewhere else before. So you've got to learn until hard work is a natural thing. Until you grasp it.
I just love what you just said now, Oti, do the small right.
Yeah, do the small right.
Because we intentionally see if it's small, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But do the small right. The Tembekaya now ubukele konindo ifundayo. And you're also trying to figure out what you would like to do in life. I hope this motivates you and gives you strength. Uguti ube consistent in whatever that you do. Kindly note at corner of Strandle and Spondo Street, we have our guest, Mrs. LERATO FEKISI. She's just telling us about her journey as a journalist and the things that she had to go through and the consistency, the ins and outs of her life in general. So I would just like us now to look at the motive behind LERATO FEKISI and journalism in your career. What is the motive behind?
I think as a journalist, you're given such a privilege to be able to be a storyteller, right? So there are certain stories that people wouldn't know unless we told them, right? So it's a huge responsibility that Omnimdu may just look at it and be like, but who cares to know about Mama Selonji Bright whose house has burnt down, But when you are a journalist who is who understands the reason why she's a journalist first, that is beyond just being famous and whatever else, but you're here to literally be a mouthpiece for people. Because in my line of work, yes, there are many people whose stories I told that perhaps didn't get help, like if your house burned down and I did a story, some people's houses were not built after that. But there have been instances where in telling the story, someone has said, you know what, I saw that boy Ozofunde Roads who was complaining about not having a laptop. Can I sponsor his entire tuition? Can I give him a laptop? And also, I think also in storytelling, I was speaking at college at Israel and I was saying, and Oprah was saying this other day, that one thing that I think I've realized as a journalist, whether you're interviewing the rich or the poor, the influential, what people want to know is like, does my voice matter? Am I worth it? And can you hear me? Right? So when you give someone an opportunity to say that, you know what, even when you stay in a 2-bedroom house, your voice matters. To give people worth and to give people value. You know, no amount of fame can ever do that. So we may tell stories that will never trend, stories that will never perhaps get La Mama help, but for her to know that there was a journalist in my house with cameras and she listened to my story, and I feel like I've got a voice and people can see me, to give people that sense of worth. Like no amount of money can ever pay me enough for people to know just by interviewing them that, oh my word, someone heard me, someone listened to me, someone saw value enough to take their car from Newton Park and come all the way to Kwandokwenza and listen to my story. I may not get help, I might probably be in the same position, but someone showed me that my voice actually matters. And nothing compares to that. Yeah.
Wow. So in simple terms, Uti, being the voice of the voiceless
Definitely.
is a mandate.
Oh, definitely.
In general.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that. And you've mentioned something. At times, singangafiki kwabantu abai 500, just make it up to 10,000 to 20,000 people. But what matters most is making a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah. And I think like social media has made us think that like influence has to be like 20 million followers. And you just like, I post and like and you do this profound preaching and only one person likes it, and just like, so I post a video are you serious? You're gonna give me one view after like I prayed and fasted and you gave me such a strong word?
Did all this.
Yeah, but in the one, you know, like the Bible says, like in the one is 1,000, you know, so it may be
Yeah.
like you just impacting that one person, but that
Wow.
one person carries so many other people. So like it really is about, I always say to people, like, I think when you meet God, I don't think God one day when you meet him is going to be like, DIMPHO, you touched 20 million people, but it's going to be like the 5 men I assigned to you. Like, were you consistent enough in making them realize their potential? Because in those 5 men was another 50 million people. So it's about, I really believe that all of us have got a certain number of people assigned to us, a certain land, territories assigned to us, and our mandate is to make sure that we impact those territories, the kingdom of God. And that's what we're going to account for one day, is that the 5, the 2, the 1, you know, did we make enough impact on that one person that was assigned to us? And I think when God meets us, he's going to applaud us more for the 1 than the 90,000.
Wow, that is profound. In the time Kaya now we can enjoy fundayo. Kindly do like, comment, and share the live stream. Do you find as a person to have mentors? Do you have any mentors that you are looking up to in the field? And tell us why.
I think it is, DIMPHO, here. I think it's important to have people that you look up to. You might not, when I was growing up now, I used to think that a mentor is someone I'm going to meet for coffee every 10 or 10 days, and then she's going to take me to SABC and be like, Ashana DIMPHO, because she deserves to be here. So I felt like such an entitlement. But you mentor him, every meeting because DIMPHO to and you have to make things happen for me. But now as I grow up, I see mentorship so different in the sense that there are people that I look up to that I've never met, that I would call my mentors, that I look at them, I'm like, your line of work is where I want to be, and you're doing the stuff I want to do. So when they talk, I'm taking notes. They might not be talking to me like over coffee or whatever, they're probably in Johannesburg or London, but when I look at the line of work and the line of work they are going on, the line they're going in, I'm like, you know what, this person is where I want to be. So when they do an event, I'm looking, what do people put in their bands? When they're doing backdrops, what are they doing as backdrops? When they're sitting, how are their flower arrangements? When they do a video, are they doing different cameras? Are they using drones? So mentorship doesn't necessarily have to be a one-on-one where I meet DIMPHO every single day, but it can be people that you look up to, that you follow and you take notes from at outside. And then definitely when you do meet a mentor and you've got privilege enough to meet them, kanje, I think the important thing is just to not see them as people that can make things happen for you, but people that can definitely help you connect the dots.
Wow.
Yeah.
People that can help you connect the dots. Dinento ethi ke ngoku, what advice would you give to your younger self when you were making a decision to follow this career field?
I think my younger self, I think, this is going to sound so weird, but I think to my younger self, I think not to focus on boys. Because I think my 20s, my 20s was like a whole big mess of just like, I think trying to find my identity in people who could never give me an identity because no man can do that.
I feel like giving you a high five.
Yeah, so my 20s are just like trying to find identity in Yosipo and Simon and Peter and John and like realizing at 30 that in fact they were so broken they could never give me anything of any value.
Wow.
So I think my 20s would just be about just finding what I want to really do, right, and aligning myself to that, and not like, because people are like, no, go 20s, just play around, and I feel like sometimes if I had not played as much as I did in my 20s and just being like, okay, this is what I want, and then although I did, because I did volunteer in media stuff, but I think I wanted to invest more energy, because I look at 20-year-olds now that are really serious and how well they're doing, and they're only like 25, 26, and they're doing really, really well because you can see these kids are focused on what they want. Yeah. So I think I'll tell myself to focus more on my dreams and to be more consistent in going after them. Yeah.
I just love what you mentioned now is angeke uzifumane komnye umuntu.
Yeah.
Angeke uzifumane ubuwena okanye utry ukusondeza ebantwini thinking that there's something that you will receive in return of finding yourself and purpose and future in general.
Yeah.
I love what you just mentioned because I do feel like even in this generation, there are still young people that are going through that. And I've been one of those people now where like literally future yakho opposite gender. But not necessary, but it's more focusing on the right things that will build you as a person. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
Our 20s were a whole mess, but God helped us. He really came through for us.
Yeah, he came through for us. You mentor others, correct?
Yeah.
This is Atu. I want to know the reason behind doing that.
Okay. I think like Miles Monroe, yeah. Miles Monroe, he passed on about a couple of years ago. And the one thing he used to say is that he wants his vision to outlive him, right? And he used to say by the strength of any vision is its sustainability in your absence.
Wow.
Yeah. So even now that it was the crazy thing about him that God took him and his wife at the same time. So that's literally taking the head of a church and taking them out. And then people looking to see, okay, like who's going to be here now, you know?
Wow.
But the ministry is carrying on because Miles Monroe was able to identify people in his church that could be abantu that are going to second or third him and groom them enough to stand even in his absence.
Wow.
So the same thing for me is that I don't want to my name will be among the great in terms of media and everything else. But I'd like for other people who are coming after me to do even better things. I was saying to the girls at college, it is all like, and I'm like, guys, like, I was like you guys. I wish I could just show you pictures about upper pants and jenga. And I was a grade 8 collegiate girl with no idea that I would be standing on stage one day. And my hope and prayer is that you guys must reach CNN, you guys must reach BBC, you guys must up the game. So I mentor. Not for people. I don't want people to mention my name that I'm mentoring them. Number one, because I don't want that kind of like
attention.
Not necessarily because it's about the person I'm mentoring, and also that person must know like I'm not intimidated by them. If they do better than me in certain things, that's great because they're supposed to do better than me in certain things. And if later in life they become greater than me or bigger doors open for them, like for instance, if my mentee goes to CNN while I'm still at SAPC, I won't be threatened by that because that's the order of God that those that come after me should be greater.
Wow.
So I mentor with that mentality. She may be better than you in certain things and it's okay, and let open doors for her to be greater, and also making her aware that I'm not intimidated by you. I want you to do great. Like if you feel like you can do this better than me, go for it. You must fly and fly more. So I think if you had that mentality, but like people aren't competition with us. You're not competing with anyone. Like this is your own lane, and you've just gonna and abantu that come and run with you and they run better than you, that's okay. They're not outrunning you, they're just running better in their lane.
Wow, I love what you're saying because you know what? Somebody once said to me, Uguti, when God lifts you up, take the other hand and lift others up. It's not about only you, but it's about the minute that you lift others up, He also lifts you more up.
Sure.
Yeah, well,
that's so perfect. Spot on.
That there's an and it's not intimidated ukuthi sometimes bazokwenza ngcono nakunawe. but it's just that nabo ba-assigned ngesizini yabo to do loo nto iyo bebebeyenza ngexesha elithile.
Exactly.
Wow, that is
Spot on.
profound. Let us ndifukwazi ukuthi, what is your hope for the next woman that would like to to pursue a career in journalism?
My hope for the next generation of journalists, I think to think outside the box, because journalism now is moving away from your typical being at SABC and ENCA, because that pie is getting so small, right? Most of these news institutions are facing very critical financial challenges, so they're getting rid of journalists, and they're understanding now, because of technology, less is more. So the few of us at SABC Eastern Cape are coping enough that they don't see a need to add more journalists, which would discourage the ones to get in, because it's hard to get in then. But in the same breath, I've seen people grow outside of SABC ENCA newsroom using social media, and I feel sometimes as young people, if I don't get to SABC, then I'm not good enough. Because obviously SABC is the bar. That's been set. But I've seen abantu, I mean, there's so many, people that have grown their brands outside. And I mean, those people are probably tripling or fourpling our salaries and their brands are way bigger than abantu that, I mean, we appear on TV at least once or twice a week. They don't even have that. And they're on Menos Bedes on 674,000 followers. And that's not small. That's crazy. She's getting endorsements on Instagram, and that's not small. Instead, they call her because they realize if we have her, our numbers will go high.
Our numbers will go high.
So I would encourage them to think outside of that, because sometimes when women or young men don't get into SABs, they feel like, yo, son, I'm not going to make it. But use what you have. There is something you have. There's a camera, like you were telling me about your story. You've got a phone. Use that and present. Like I was telling you about Ukeke, who made it into a presenter, that she was listening to Ukeke before she got into being a presenter. By the time Ukeke winning competition, people were just like, Ukeke has been doing this thing. So I'll tell them to think outside the box, to use their phones. Your phone is the greatest tool you have. We've got TikTok, we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, and you don't know, as you keep on posting, who's going to see and say, you know what, Sine Showman, Zanzi Magic, I think you'll be the perfect person. I can't get audition.
Wow.
Because you've been so consistent, and like they're like, yo, we need this girl. We need to fly her to Joburg, give her some cameras, and see what she can do.
Wow.
So don't just limit yourself to thinking, if I don't get into these three newsroom, ENC or SABC, that's it. But think outside. Think like there actually isn't a box.
Wow.
Like, don't even limit yourself to there being a box. Think like there isn't a box. I can do absolutely anything. If I've got this gadget, honestly, there's nothing you can't do. But you've got to be consistent, though, because equally like you thinking it, like if you go to TikTok, everyone now is doing the whole humor thing, because people are wondering, okay, if I do this humor thing, can work. But abantu, they're going to stand out. Abantu are doing it. Yeah. Consistency and excellence as well.
Excellence.
Yeah.
And not being afraid, being different.
Yeah.
Ungafuni ukwenza mhlawumbe into enziwa ngumntu wonke. Because we like to blend.
Yeah.
Sifuna ufana nabanye abantu, but
Yeah.
akho nto wrong ngokuba unique and different.
Absolutely.
And understanding the season that you are in.
Yeah.
Because at times abantu mhlawumbe siye motivated by not understanding the seasons that we go through, and the seasons that we are in. And siphela silahlekelwa nalithemba because of ngoku ndizojonga uLerato FEKISI dinga understand the season endikuyo.
Amen. Spot on.
Wow, that is profound. What would you like the space to be as a journalism?
I think I'd like to see more women at the top, not because of gender equality or being a feminist, because I'm not, but I feel like woman leadership has a certain empathy that it has. Woman leadership has a certain sense of uvelwano that men leadership doesn't have as well. Men leaders are absolutely brilliant. Wow. I mean, I'm married, so I can never speak down on men, and I'm led by a man in the form of my husband. But I feel like woman leadership have got a certain level of empathy, of love, of sensitivity to certain things that men wouldn't have. And in the space of journalism, where there are more male reporters than female reporters, I think having women at the helm of leadership in news corporations will not only help in getting more women in, because I feel like because you deserve to be male or female, by credibility, not because of favors or whatever, but it will help to also shift the stories that we tell.
Wow.
because I feel like South Africa has got so much stories to tell, but sometimes I think we're limited to just politics. But when you've got a woman leader, they will tell different stories. They will tell more the real stories that we face as Africans and try find solutions to that. So I'd like to see more women, not only women in journalism, because I think Singene goes for space now, we're doing really, really well, but more women in where the policies are drafted that speaks into the kind of stories we tell. More women at the helm in terms of management. And I also feel like women also have a better way in dealing with their workers, because obviously if you've got a motivated workforce, you're going to work better. So I think that's what I'd like to see, just more women at the top.
Just more women at the top. And because abantu bangomama at times baye bazijongele phansi acinga umuntu akekho capable of smashing those dreams and climbing that corporate ladder. You know, I love what you just said now. Ngoku ngifuna siqonde something, because mna ndinguye ngumuntu sometimes ndilahlekelwe kuba kwenzeka ntoni in the world, uve xa kuthethwa kuba kwathi uqonda uba nithetha ngantoni. How do you stay up to date with the current affairs and news?
Okay, so I only listen to SAFM. Like I literally, I find I don't think I know Metro Nami Kakdal. I listen to SAFM on my drive to work. So it's the morning routine because my child is at school now. So on my drive to work, literally from the time the Baska 7 hit, listening to news the whole day. Then there are certain reporters and anchors and newsmakers that I follow on Twitter. So sometimes a story would break and they say, okay, mhlambi, something happened in Johannesburg that I know about, Chris definitely know I go Twitter yaki. So then I'm gonna literally go to a page. It's like, oh, okay, so I want to buy 27. Okay, Gue building. Okay, that's what they were talking about. So I always correspond, because social media is also so powerful in the sense that sometimes a story gets out here quicker than it does when news stations. But obviously you have to verify it, because a lot of fake news happening there as well. So I always make sure I go to Bandu that I know its credibility is sound in terms of news. They're not just trying to break news and spreading false news. So I'd say listening to SAFM. Also, me and Mom is quite informed politically. So a lot of things I would run past him if I heard certain things. I'm not too sure, Minister Antoni, Portfolio Antoni. So I run a lot of things past him. And then, I think radio conversations with my husband gives me more of a perspective in terms of current affairs. And then social media, I think those three.
Wow.
But obviously social media going to people that I know are verified and have got truth.
Wow. So kubalulekile to do research.
Oh, a lot.
Research,
You've got
research,
no choice.
research.
And more.
And yeah, there's no stop. Research, research. So how do you stay accurate in your report and in stories?
The nice thing about working for as national broadcasters, or whether NCO Newsroom or SABC, is that senior editors, ne? So we get assigned a story. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Like for instance, the Minister of Water, Besema Kande Zolo. So we'd go cover the story, would come back and maybe she would say something that we feel like is a bit out. So before my story, Ifike Moyeni, it first goes through my editor, Apebai, who checks my script, who checks my facts. So if I say Makanda has been without water for the past 20 years, my editor who checks my script has to make sure that's accurate, because at Joburg, they're very hard in terms of percentages, statistics. They want to know that. Like they'll ask, well, a statistic, can she give us a biography, bibliography? So that's how we stay accurate. And then also, even before we go live, you read a lot before you go live, because live whatever I say in 2 seconds, people take that as truth. So when I read, I always go ask my editor, have you also heard this before I say it even? And like I said, our scripts are checked both locally and also nationally before Ziamoyeni. So we're constantly being verified to make sure that we say the facts and remain objective and impartial.
Wow, profound. Sinombuzo pana from viewers Makaya. Bati, what habits or strategies help you maintain consistency and excellence in your reporting, especially when covering complex or repetitive topics?
I think just sticking to the facts, and not trying to sensationalize things, because it's easy to try and make it sensational. Like for instance, if something huge would happen here, that is like, it's a big story, and just making sure that I can try and make it exciting, the end what it is not, and make it big for so you guys can like me and retweet my over exaggeration, but just sticking to the facts all the time. These amount of kids died, this happened, not trying to the driver be petty so we think it might be a castle, and then we're trying to say that maybe he was drunk. I'm trying to sensationalize it, but just saying there was a bus driver, he crashed a car, and then saying that for now, and it's also okay to say for now now I don't know. Because some people feel like, oh, journalist, you must say, but
Wow.
I know that I'm still so bestseller, but to say, but you know what, it has not been confirmed yet by the police if he was drunk and driving, but
Wow.
we'll confirm it to you at a later stage when we do know. So being able to say certain things and desires it because I just arrived on the scene to this thing happening, and then also always verifying your facts all the time,
Yeah.
and like more than anything else, just remaining factual.
Wow.
Don't say anything of what you see outside of what you see.
Outside what you see.
Yeah.
I just love what you mentioned. Now you said when you do not know something, do not shy away from saying you do not know.
It's okay.
That isn't like in life in general. When you do not know, say you do not know, so that you can be able to learn and do more research so that you know.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes. Then now, kindly tell me, how do you handle conflict in your field?
Well, it's tough Nduxelele, because, but one thing that I've learned, you just have to stay calm. Yeah, especially when it about elections, like the election time is always where there's conflict, because abantu will feel like you're not covering us as much as you're covering party A. Okay, Tina usinike umoya for less hours than this party. So you just always have to just, number one, stay calm.
Yes.
Don't be biased, because naturally, once as a human being, there are parties you favor more than others. But you always have to make sure that you are a journalist, number one. Take off any other hat of a feminist, of a mom, or anything when you're there. So remain calm, stick to the facts, and also communicate, because journalism is also about being a good communicator. You know, make them to feel, but you know what, Buti, I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm just trying to tell a story. Calm them down if you have to, but always make sure that you come back with the story.
Oh, wow, that is profound. Kindly tell us now, how do you manage your time?
I've got a lot of support. I don't try and do it all myself. I've got a stay-in helper.
Yeah.
I don't cook during the week.
Wow.
I don't even attempt, because after work I have to go gym. After gym I have to do my child's homework. And then I have to spend time with them, and then I have to put them to sleep, and then I must spend time with my husband. So if I were to try get home and cook and do all the stuff, I'm going to be burnt out.
Yeah.
They can't have a burnt out mom or burnt out wife or a burnt out employer. So I delegate where I can.
Your tasks.
I assign tasks.
Yes.
Please do this and this and this, and I like systems in place. So I know Baksasa, I'm in charge of the lunches. Sis is in charge of getting my child ready for work. So there's a time we leave for work. Your day is very much structured, so I don't try be superwoman.
You know.
I delegate where I can't, and I do what I can when I can, but also find spaces to rest.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think rest is important mentally and otherwise.
Profound. I know that you're not only a journalist, you're also a businesswoman. And I just love that you balance everything. But what is the motive behind of Okuba was that you're not only going to focus on the good box A1, then you're going to spread your eggs in
No, I just don't think Lelewena and DIMPHO that we were created to be one thing.
Yeah.
I think like we're so multifaceted. Like you may be an admin person now and accountant, but I think like God, I mean, if you look at how creative God is, there's no way that you'd create you to just wake up, pay the bills, make it to month end, and then do the same thing until you pass on.
Wow.
You know, I just feel like as human beings, we're so multifaceted. And I think it's in realizing what our talents are and going after those talents that's the beauty of life. So I think it's this constant pursuit of just saying, by like, yes, there's this thing I can actually do, and just going for that. Maybe outside of your 8 to 9 job, but just knowing that, you know what, outside of my 8 to 9, I can sing, and I sing really well, and going after that. Yeah, so I just don't feel like we must be limited to just that boxed 8 to 5 job. There's more to life than that.
There's more to life than that. Profound. Bendisauti, what would you like to say to Umdupai Kaya Oti? You know what, I would like to pursue this career, but demotivated by my surroundings, because especially in our black communities, akukho mali, it doesn't guarantee that uzofumana umsebenzi. Wake wayifumana wena lonto ngaphambili okanye indoni eyakuqonda ukuthi you are going to pursue the career regardless.
No, journalism man. Let's just get that out now. So if it was to make money, you're in the wrong job.
Wow.
It really is the most thankless job, the hardest job, a lot of long hours, a lot of sacrifice, and then the money doesn't match what you're putting in. So you've got to do journalism because you love it. not because you're trying to make money. And in any field anyway, there is no place where you're going to wake up and apply today, get the job, and then be a millionaire tomorrow. It's not going to happen. So I think to the child that is perhaps facing surroundings that are not encouraging,
Yes.
I think first, like I said earlier on, like I think as human beings, we've got to change this like overnight success mentality first, right? I think number two, you've got to be intentional about trying to find a way out.
Yeah.
And like I say that, and someone may say you're speaking from a place of privilege because SABC now, but there is always a way out. I mean, the guys that are doing the camera work here, that's a way out. You know what I mean? So there are churches that can say to you, like, DIMPHO, we see that you can present, come showcase your skill here. So always try find a way out, whether it is going to a slaghen and say, Dad, you know what, I see that you need one more person to help you sika le nyama because I need to make more money because next year if I apply NMU, you know, and just volunteering your time knowing that la 90 rand and 100 rand, if I save it enough by time in August and they want applications in 1,200 by for so always try a way, always find a way out. Always open your mouth and speak, you know, because you'll be so surprised. There are so many people that are willing to help you, finance you, get you a job, get you into space where you can volunteer. That when you think that you are a son as a quote, sit down somewhere, but there's someone who says, but they said Transnet and they are looking for volunteers, but because I'm 30 and you're just saying in this cocoon of it can't be like that. So speak, number one. Let people know that guys, men can I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. Number two, read newspapers. There's always stuff being advertised in the newspapers. Read books, go to the library. Like you're saying, you read about it, study about it, be obsessed about it. It's how when they're saying they want cameramen, put your hand up because that's what you want to do. So there is always an escape, but sometimes I think where we stay and our in the mindset it makes us think that there's no life beyond this. So talk, speak to people, speak to your neighbors, speak to Malume down the road, speak to the dada on a car wash, volunteer your time there, volunteer your service at work. Eventually something will give, but don't wallow up in your surroundings that you think there's no way out, because there is a way out. Because back about people who have made it out of luxury, so I hate the mentality that says, but you can't make it. And they didn't come from trust fund money. They didn't come from, no one came and said, Nansi million rand. But they were like, mna. And then they just went for it and went for it and went for it. So if lamtu wananga puma now, there's no magic power to that person's success. But yes, may have gone this way, but I'm gonna change the story. And then they were just, and I promise you, the moment you just take the first step, literally you like everything that you want, you get attracts to you. The moment like I want to be a TV presenter, then you'll be like, why are people liking me more now? Why is my name? Why is Mfon is coming to me now? I've been all along, but it's because God has seen your intent. That now beyond Tetangayo, He's speaking. Beyond Tetangayo, He's volunteering His time. Then everything that you want gets attracted to you.
Wow, I love what you just said now. Uti, everything that you want is attracted to you. Kindly note with Conop Stoner and Spondo Street be encouraged to share the live stream with Silapa na wasisi wetu simtandayo. Kindly be encouraged to share the live stream. Dicela nje, just in closing, Dicela to the viewers at home, is there anything that you'd like to comment and just say nje before we close?
I think just before we close, number one, just to know that you matter, right? That you count for something. That if God would have wanted you to not be alive, He would have taken you out a long time ago, right? That God is not bored in heaven. The reason why you're alive is that there's something that you must do, and you need to find that, because that's what life is all about. That your story matters. You know, some people think that because my story is not as big as got DIMPHO, as got Oprah, as got Michael Jordan, that it doesn't matter. But your story matters. Your story matters. Your voice matters. You matter. Because there's something that you're carrying. The reason why you're still alive is that there's something beautiful that you're carrying that many need to learn from. And then number two, just to go for it. Don't be scared. Don't limit yourself. Don't let your mind limit you. Don't let your mind make you believe that it can't be done. It can. If you have to be the first to start it, then let it be so. But you can do it. And then number three, know that you are doing all this not for anything, but like we're talking earlier on, to leave a legacy. When people think of your name, they must say, these are the young men that you touched. Look
Yeah.
at all these young boys. The products got DIMPHO is.
Yeah.
Not the following she had on Facebook, not the car that she drove, but these young boys who are watching you when you're presenting, who are watching how you dressed and how beautiful you looked and how you took your craft so easy and so seriously. They can say, this is the legacy that she's brought up. So beyond just the fame, beyond the influence, beyond the lights and the camera and the glitz and glam, is a legacy of young people that are looking to you as the next generation, saying, because DIMPHO tried again, because DIMPHO had hope again, because DIMPHO was tired, but she tried again and she woke up again, time and time again. I can also do it.
Wow, profound. Masibulele kakhulu. Thank you
you,
so
man. Thank you
much.
for having
Just
me.
before we close, khona yini mhlawumbe ufuna uyithetha ndingakuvalanga?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Kindly note, we're at corner of Stranda and Spondo Street. The name of the church is Penal Fellowship. Siyakwenza ke ngomso siyangena ngo 10 o'clock. Would love to see you here. The name means you shall never see the face of God and remain the same. Ndiyendithi ke ndithetha yangamntu omtsha umfumana uThixo esafumaneka. Usahlele esihlalweni sakhe sobukhosi uyabuza, same time, same place.